I've been very fortunate to be able to get a hold of a lot of different guns over the past several years to try out. And as far as the guns that I own, most of the guns I've tried I don't own. But as far as the guns I own, there's been a few. And even the ones that I've tried that I thought, this is a terrible gun. Now I'm going to start by saying, obviously there's lemons out there. And some of the guns on this list, many of you are going to say, I own that gun and I don't have a problem with that gun at all. So these are just some of them potential lemons. So I'm not saying because I had a bad experience with them doesn't mean that they're all bad. All I'm saying is this is the top 5 list of the worst guns that I've ever owned. Number 1, the Fightlight Raider pistol. When I first saw this gun at SHOT Show, I was very excited about it. I looked and looked and looked, couldn't wait to get a hold of one. When I finally did, I've had so many problems with this gun. First run out, now this is in a 300 blackout, first run out, jam after jam after jam after jam. I didn't even get through a magazine before I physically had to pull that gun apart and spend at least an hour just trying to get the bolt to loosen up. Terrible, terrible gun. I love the idea of it. And again, it could just be that it's a lemon, although I have seen some other negative reviews. Now, when I shot it at SHOT Show, ran flawlessly. So clearly they have the ability to make these function well. But the one I got a hold of, and it looks like the one that many of you got a hold of, just absolutely terrible. Number 2, the Ruger LCP2 and 22 LR. Again, when I shot this gun at SHOT Show, I had high hopes for this gun. And when I finally got a hold of one, I did a review of this. It just was jam after jam, misfeed, failures to eject, so many problems. I don't even know how to begin to say what the problem was. There were so many different problems with this particular gun. Now, I did then oil the heck out of it, and it ran really good when I did that review. So I kind of, then again, my hopes went back up. However, over the last several months, as I continue to shoot that gun, I rarely successfully am able to get a magazine to feed well through it. Number 3, the Sig P938. Now, here comes the comments. I hear you. But the reality with the Sig P938 is the first few generations of that, they use the feed ramp from the 380 version of it. Now, what that essentially says to me is that it depends on the year that your Sig P938 was made. My Sig P938 that I owned, that gun was awful. Failure after failure after failure, and it would jam in there so bad that I eventually had to take it to a gunsmith just to simply get it to get a bullet out of it. It just was such an awful gun. Now, again, I hear the comments. A lot of people love the Sig P938, but it depends on the year that it was made. If it's the earlier ones, you probably got a really terrible one. If it's later ones, I'm sure they're fantastic. Sig's a great company, as is Ruger. But mine, awful. Again, this is the list of the worst guns I've owned. Number 4. Phoenix 22 LR. Now, of course, everybody knows these are kind of terrible guns, but I mean, come on. Can you at least try a little bit harder? I mean, I know they're very inexpensive guns, and you definitely get what you pay for, I suppose, in many circumstances. But the reality is, companies like Taurus, they make awesome guns that are very affordable, and they function well. So it's really a matter of the craftsmanship and the engineering that goes behind it. But man, what a terrible, terrible gun. And finally, number 5. Keltec Sub 2000. Now, again, a lot of people love Sub 2000s, and here comes the comments again. This is a list of the worst guns I've owned. I'm sure, again, kind of like the 938 and the LCP2, maybe I got a lemon. All these guns, maybe I got a lemon. I don't know. This, again, worst list of guns I've owned. I could not get this gun to function properly the entire time. I tried and tried. I call Keltec, oh, you got to put 500 rounds. 500 rounds later, still not functioning. I could never get this gun to function properly at all. So, again, this is the list of the 5 worst guns. I didn't say the 5 worst guns ever made. I said the 5 worst guns I've owned. So, Love to hear the worst guns you've owned. Again, I know a bunch of these are lemon. You get a lemon, I get that. And I've gone through a lot of guns, so the probability of me getting a lemon is even high. So love to hear some lemons or some worst guns you've owned. Put them in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel to Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.